For business studies, now the next large fixed retailer showroom, that is mail order retailing. It's not like showroom because here in mail order retailing, the seller and purchaser, they both contact with some media like advertisement or some publicity, mail publicity, or through telephone. They can contact with each other. And seller used to send the some catalog, price list, some pamphlets to the purchaser, and so that purchaser can come to know about the product and can purchase the product and order the product. So this type of arrangement is called shopping by post by customer and selling by post by seller. Now main features of mail order retailing is, first of all, a detailed mailing list has been sent by the seller to purchaser, so that he can come to know, he can count that how many products are there, what is the price, and he can get all this information with so much time to analyze and so much time to think upon it, and having the things in written, and he can read the things and discuss the things. So in this way a detailed mailing list has been sent. And then the seller sends a circular catalog to customer by post. Many times the seller send the catalog. On catalog there are the pictures of the product. Circulars has been sent by the seller in which all the instructions has been given for purchasing the product and all. And then the customer place the order by selecting the goods from the catalog by post, and generally all the goods are standard item. They are not different in the quality, because under mail order retailing nobody is there to check out the product. You have to check out the product only through pictures or through pamphlets, so it's very difficult to check the product physically. Now the standard item has been given by the mail order retailing. But there are many local local seller who are not providing the good quality product. They are providing the cheap quality product even, because there is a difference in the quality. So that is the problem under mail order retailing. Now the payment is received through VPP, value payable post or registered post. So that is the post where you get the product. The product has been posted to the purchaser address, but the things has been given to the purchaser only after taking the payment from him. So payment is very much necessary part over there. Without taking the payment, without taking the money, they won't deliver the product to the purchaser. Now trading procedure of mail order retailing. This is the trading procedure of mail order retailing, that is advertisement to provide many information regarding the product, quality, price, order receiving and processing. Order has been received by the purchaser, and then the processing has been done on it, and then payment received. This is a trading procedure. Goods suitable for mail order business. All type of goods cannot be dealt in the mail order business, so only those goods which can be ordered or purchased or sold out easily through mail order, in which the perishable item is a problem. That perishable means which destroy easily, like eggs, fish, likewise. These item is very difficult to go through mail order retailing. Then goods should be standardized, otherwise you will have the problem. And goods should not be bulky, because it is difficult to deliver the goods otherwise, to courier the goods otherwise. But nowadays though people are purchasing TV, fridge, everything online, and there is a packaging industry that has been emerging industry developing over there. Goods should be easy to handle, and goods should be easily explained through the pictures and the description. No need to send any seller or any you can say agent of seller or to describe the product, and goods should be branded. So definitely if you are going through mail order retailing, then goods should be branded, because brand means the uniform quality and good quality. That represents brand. So basically we consider this, but it doesn't mean that all brands have good quality, all brands have uniform quality. Many times it doesn't happen also. Common goods sold through mail order retailings are books and artificial jewelry दे रखी है आपको एग्जांपल, पेन्स, टाउस, ये वॉचेस हैं आपके, टॉयज़ हैं आपके, ये सब आपको एग्जांपल दे रखे हैं. Mail order retailing में you can say heavy product also are there, are included in mail order retailing. People used to prefer the all TV, fridges and all washing machine, all these from mail order retailing. So there is not a big deal in it. Now the next part is automatic vending machine. So a vending machine basically is it's like that, is picture has been given also. Automatic vending machine. Here machine is over there, and there what happens that there is new type of direct retailing. Direct retailing means there is no mediocre between the consumer and the seller, or you can say manufacturer. So it is a machine basically that is operated by coins or token. So what happens that people used to insert the coin and they get the quantity as per the coin. So that is the machine. Many, you can say, milk can be given, milk can be sold out, milk are selling out basically through this machine in Delhi also, metro cities. And here what happens that petrol pump and railway station, airports, when people are not there, agents are not there to sell out the services, there the card has been issued, token has been issued, that they use that token and get the services over there. And that has becoming very popular because no need of any agent, no need of any salesperson over there. So soft drinks, cigarettes, postage stamps, stickers, all has been sold out through this token and easily managed by this. And there is another example given as Mother Dairy is selling. Definitely I told you that Mother Dairy milk has been sold out through this vending automatic machine, right? So it's becoming popular. People used to go over there and operate themselves and then get the product as per the payment or as per the coin they have inserted in the machine. This chapter is over now because GST has been cut from your syllabus, so that I need to tell you that. And along this automatic vending machine, benefits and drawbacks are also given over there. Benefits, so we know that you can buy for 24 hours, because no need of any person over there, so buying can be going on for 24 hours. You get fresh product because here the storage over there for the product is very you can say safe and very effective, and no requirement of any salesman. But drawbacks are also there, like initial investment is very large because machine is very costly, which has been installed for selling out the product. Regular repair and maintenance has been should be there to make the product safe, and the coins of exact shape, size should be used to match up, so that vending machine can understand that and provide you the product. So all these are very important drawbacks which should be considered before installing the vending machine by the seller. And this GST has been cut over there, so all this topic has been cut over there. No need to do the GST. I think you will do the GST in your accounts. So next chapter I am starting, that is international business, because that 9th chapter has been over and all the other topics has been cut out. And now the meaning of export, import and re-export. So what is the meaning of international business? That is buying and selling of goods and services without you can say beyond the geographical area of the country. That is the basically international business. So what is export? When you are selling out your goods and services to foreign country, that is export, and in return you will get the foreign exchange. And import, when you are selling a goods and services from foreign country and making the foreign exchange payment, that is the import. Now what is interport and re-export? First you import the goods and services into your country, but not for consumption, but selling out to the another foreign country. So that is re-import. Suppose that is known as re-export or interport. So suppose you buy 20 TV from Australia. It's not for the consumption of those TV in India. Now you ought to you can say sell it all these 20 TVs to another country like Bangladesh. So that is the re-export or interport over there, right? If you are consuming that product, if you are selling that product into your own country, that is not interport, that will be import. Or so this is a different thing. Export, import you are studying from the many years. Now the nature of external trade or international business. So there is a involvement of two countries when you are selling out the product to another country, in the case of export, import or interport. Now payment in foreign currency, definitely the payment is to be made in the foreign currency. The payment is not to be made in your domestic currency. Payment always is to be made in the foreign currency. Main international currencies are there, like dollar, Australian dollar, like euro, Japanese currency. They are there, and the payment is to be made in only foreign currency, which has been accepted by international business. Now problems of international business. Definitely many problem arises for international business. First of all, legal procedure. So legal procedure, legal formalities, that is a very lengthy over there, and it's very it is taking too much time and money involvement and expenditure also when there is a legal procedure is to be followed up for export or import of goods. And after 1991 though it is becoming easier, but even though it involves lots of processes which you have to follow for legal procedure for export and import business. Now restriction, the international business basically they are not as much free as internal trade. Internal trade is having more freedom than in the case of international business, because in international business you have to follow the rules of both the countries, and so restrictions is also there that has been imposed by the government to to just make the limit for export and import, because no government is making free export and import in their country, and they are they used to impose many restrictions on it. Now higher risk, definitely the risk is high is because the seller is in another country and purchaser is in another country, so definitely the risk level is very high, because you are to send the goods from one country to another country through waterways or airways. There is a risk of that, there is a risk of damage of goods also, and definitely there is a connection between the exporter and importer only through basically then you can say through telephone or through net. So there is a risk of that, because personal meeting might not be possible in the case of export import of business if they are not the regular you can say trade. They are not sharing the regular trade relation with each other. Now the different languages, definitely language is another setback, that different languages has been spoken by both the purchaser and seller belong to different countries. So they must appoint some other person to make understand the language, make understand the you can say all the terms and condition which has been spoken by the purchaser or seller of the different country. So definitely they are to appoint some person who will make them understand that what is going on, what they want to say regarding terms, condition, price, or any other thing. Now the arrangement of foreign currency. Here domestic currency is not okay for making the payment for all these export import of goods and services. So there must be some arrangement of foreign currency over there. So it is also not a small process, it is also a long process where you have to arrange very, very huge foreign currency to make the payment. So these are all the things, and definitely with that you can also write down that different languages is also problem, and different rules and regulation of different countries, both the countries, is also it's also a big deal, because now the things are goods and services are to sent from one country to another country and entering another country. So rules and regulation of both the countries has to be followed up, and there must be many person who are involving basically in this process, and they should know about the rules and regulation of regarding selling and purchasing of goods beyond geographical limit of both the countries. So this is also a requirement for international business, you can say feature problem for international business. Now difference between internal and external trade. So it's very easy question, that what is the difference between internal and external trade. Basically internal trade, that is a trade between that is a buying and selling of goods and services within the geographical limit. External, beyond the geographical limit, selling and purchasing of goods and services. Internal trade, basically one country is involved, and because people are saying you can say buying and selling of goods and services within the country, so one country is involved, and two countries are or minimum two countries are involved for selling purchase of goods and services. Now for internal trade, less degree of risk is involved. So because in internal trade you can contact personally with each other, because the country is same, rules and regulation of both the countries are same, so less degree of risk is involved comparatively on this basis. But here high degree of risk is involved, because personal meeting might not be possible many times, and here different languages are there, different rules and regulations are there, many restrictions are there, so high risk is involved over there. The payment are made and received in home currency only in internal trade. So whatever you are earning, you can make the payment easily. You no need to convert your currency into another currency. But here payment are to be made received in the foreign currency only. Now no long procedure and formalities are to be followed up in internal trade, definitely. But in external trade, long procedure, many formalities are to be followed up for doing external trade. Now internal trade, payments are made by cash or check. The payment can be made easily by cash, check or draft. That can be RTGS can also be used nowadays. Now in the case of external trade, payment are made through the bill of exchange or through banks. So definitely the involvement of bank is necessary when you are making the payment, or bills of exchange should be there. So it's a you can say the safe payment mode should be used. Now national laws, rules and regulation are applicable. So that is a rules and regulation of one country that is applicable over there. But here the payment are made through bills of the international rules and regulations are there which are to be followed up, and here it use road, railway mode of transport, but there waterways and airways they are used, air transport they are used, and they are considered more risky. Now operating cost of internal trade is lower, definitely, because in internal trade the trader of one country is involved, so operating cost is very lower in this case. But here operating cost of external trade is high due to involvement, due to the you can say long distances and different rules and regulations. So for following up the formalities involved in the external trade, so operating cost is very high. But here the formality is comparatively less, so less operating case in this case if you want to execute this type of business. Internal trade has no effect on foreign reserve of a country, definitely. It is not decreasing the foreign reserve or increasing the foreign reserve. But in the case of international business, definitely it has a great impact on the foreign reserve of the country. Suppose if you are making the import payment, then definitely it decrease the foreign reserve. And if you are receiving the payment on the account of export, then definitely foreign reserve has been increasing. This one more question can be asked also. Fine, you should know that what is the impact of export and import on foreign exchange reserve. Fine. Now main reason for international business are, what are the main reason why international business has been chosen? And there the main reason are, the countries cannot produce equally you can say well or cheaply product that as the product has been produced by the China, so or many other countries, or good quality product by the Japan, Korea. So here the electronic item that has been produced by the Japan and Korea and China also, so country cannot produce the equally cheaply goods, so that is why they are to import it from the other country. And there is an unequal distribution of natural resources. In some countries natural resources are in abundance, like in Arabian countries oil is in abundance, or in some countries people are having very vast knowledge regarding electronics, and also that is why the unnatural resources are not equally distributed. So many times we have to that is why we also have to export you can say food product to the Arabian countries, because they are they are having shortage of this, and they used to export oil because we are having shortage of that, fuel and many other things which we are not capable to produce even till now. Now the next thing is availability of different factor production. Different factor production are available in different part of the world. So due to the like land, labor, capital, raw material and many other things, they are different. They are not available equally. So that is why there is a need of export import to fulfill the need of the another country. Now difference in the labor, productivity, production cost, that is also different due to the socio-economical and political reason. In many countries, if you are to produce, you are to incur lots of expenses, but in another there is no need of such expenses involved over there. Like if you want to do agro activities in India, it is very easy to carry on because due to the weather we are having and environment you are having. So that is why due to the availability of this labor, productivity, production cost, and the labor in China, the labor productivity and production cost is very cheap, because here you can have all type of talents and they can produce even, and definitely they are having many time from 1958 China is having the policy of industry in the backyard. So basically the people are well efficient, well skillful in producing the goods and services comparatively India. So that is why we can have the cheap labor, cheap productivity over there. And but for the western countries, it is very easy to import services from India, because here the resources are cheapest due to the large population and people are skillful even over there. So this is the problem. This is the reason why there is international business has been opted. There is not even a single country which is not doing export or import, and who can produce each and everything at lower cost. Each and every country, sometimes they used to import raw material also. Sometimes they are not having well efficient resources. Sometimes they are not able to produce finished goods, so they used to import goods and services. Now each country find it beneficial to produce only selected goods which they can easily produce with less cost, with more effectiveness. So other goods which they are not able to produce, they prefer to import it from the other country. So that is there why all the countries are involved in international business, and many treaties has been made, and organization has been made which is promoting world trade and globalization all over the world and appreciated also. So this is the last chapter we are doing of business studies. I'm just stopping it over there. So you are to do up to this point.